What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another Craig and Greeny stream. It's been many months, so good to be back with Craig live, guys. GM Greg, how are you over in Aussie land?
Yeah, good morning, good morning. Yeah, good, bro. Good. Just woke up, so I'm a bit like, whoa. Not used to talking so much at this time, but it's not that early. But yeah, little fella's about to go to school. It's cold here, man. I got my hoodie on. It's actually
What
pretty
temperatures
crispy
we
over
talking?
the Gold Coast. I'm like, shucks. But yeah, it's cold mornings at the moment, but it's good, man. The weather's good. Crypto looks good. I woke up. We just had a quick chat offline, everyone, and quickly checked the market. I was like, well, Greeny, we timed this well. If it was a week or two ago, it might have been a little bit doom and gloom.
Yeah,
How are you?
100%. Yeah, dude, I'm
How's
doing really
travel?
good. Yeah, travel's been so good. Obviously, I'm in Portugal at the moment. Madeira, stunning place of the world. It's amazing. So, no, loving it and balancing crypto at the same time it's an awesome lifestyle to be living this year for sure. And as you said, it's a great time in the market right now compared to where we were, and we'll talk about that throughout the show. Plenty to obviously digest, guys. Special mention, obviously, to the sponsor of today's video, and that's SwiftX, guys. They're a Aussie exchange. And if you're an Australian or a New Zealander, you can sign up using my referral link in the description below, and you can get $20 free of Bitcoin. And as you can see here, this is what the platform looks like, and you can see my referral link up the top. So shout out to SwiftX for sponsoring this video, guys. But yeah, Craig, so much to digest today in today's show. There's obviously we've got the market pump right now. So the bull market is certainly back. We've obviously got the ETF of ETH. I don't even know if you've seen that as well. Potentially about to be approved. So we'll look at some news articles there. Then we'll obviously digest some altcoin analysis because a lot of our bags are starting to pump probably more aggressively than Bitcoin and those types of assets as well. And then obviously we'll dive into the other side of the market where me and you have spent a lot of quality time, like ordinals, runes, meme coins. They're all really starting to be, well, they were on value on sale on a discount, but now they are certainly starting to pump up across the market. So we'll discuss all of that. So a big show ahead. But yeah, so let's start off with this one to begin with, guys. But essentially, let me just share the screen and pop it up. It's been a while since I've done a live stream together. There we go. All right. So as you can see here, guys, really interestingly, ETH ETF's filing process sees abrupt progress. So all of out of nowhere, we've seen the SEC come in and update the filings for an accelerated basis of the ETH. ETF being approved. So exchanges are to hopefully obviously update their filings so that they can potentially have ETH run on their platforms by the end of this week. So Craig, that is super duper bullish, and that's obviously led to a massive pump across the market as we've seen at the moment. And yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Man, man, I'm so pumped. It feels like it's been a long time. The market's been a bit, well, the sideways crab, hasn't it? And it was amazing to see for me on the timeline over the last couple of months, how bearish the timeline got in a bull market and in a everything asset wise goes up bull market. You know, you've got, well, the US dollar's finally pulling back. I won't harp on too much, but yeah, just to summarize, man, unreal. ETH is up 18%. It's been a while since ETH got its act together.
100%.
And luckily I did, and I don't know if, I think you did as well. I loaded up on some ETH a little while ago and I just kept it in my wallet and it was the biggest lagger. But this morning, I'm happy with that little bag I had sitting there. So, yeah, man, happy days. And this exchange, the SEC news here is looking like they're going to give it to us, doesn't it?
Very much likely so. I saw an updated chart today that said 75% is looking likely for it to go ahead compared to 25% previously. So that's super bullish because a lot of sort of news on the timeline and rumors were that it probably wouldn't get approved until 2025. So it's certainly great to see, and it might even kickstart this run probably up to maybe 80K very soon. So I'm very curious though, because as we've discussed, Craig, and we will talk about that throughout the show, is if we have an accelerated market now, I really think we lean towards a top in the start of 2025. Whereas if we did see consolidation for a couple more months, then I definitely think mid-year next year would have been the target. But obviously with a lot of heat at the moment, we could push towards 80K BTC very quickly. And if we do look here, guys, this is obviously the liquidation heat map, and there was so many shorts up here at these highs around that 67k to 69k sort of region, and we've directly pumped through that. So BTC obviously pumped up to like nearly 71k just before, but there's a big amount of liquidity up here at 72k, which is where I'm sort of targeting in the short term for us to probably pump up there. And if we do dive in, obviously, to the total crypto market cap, guys, and this is, and I put a tweet out just before because this is obviously the most important chart. This is showing you where the liquidity is in the market. And so essentially the market is moving up as a togetherness sort of aspect, right? So in other words, we're breaking up through a consolidation period. This is obviously a bull pennant, a bull flag that we saw for about 3 months, and we are starting to break up there. And obviously we have some targets above us, obviously the pre-high this cycle at 2.7 trillion, and then obviously 3 trillion from last cycle. So usually you would see, so if we look back to last cycle, we saw it was at 770 billion, and then we obviously topped out at 3 billion. So that's about a 4x. So if we moderately look at where we potentially could see the market get to, that would obviously be about a 3x from current prices. So if we do think about the 3x from about this sort of period here, we're looking at probably around about 7.5 trillion sort of dollars. So that's what I'm looking like sort of here. And obviously this halvening I did draw previously. This is based on obviously on previous sort of timeframes based on the last 2 cycles. But I don't know, Craig, what are your thoughts around the top of the halving? The top of the cycle and that type of stuff?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question. Same thoughts as you. Exact same thoughts as you. I kind of thought it was gonna go what you said before about mid-25, but with this catalyst of the ETH ETF, like you just said, that might give us the juice just to push this sooner, or even on time. It's just the aggressiveness of the move from here. Like you said, if the move's extremely aggressive from here, maybe we top out a little bit sooner.
Yeah.
But I was sort of looking for things to get pretty good. End of Q2. Start of Q3 this year.
Yeah.
If it makes the move now, it's not like it's not on time. It's just a little bit earlier than I thought. But I did kind of feel with how bearish the timeline was, how long we sort of consolidated for. We had a nice big dip. What was that? About April 14th, I think, 13th, 14th.
Yeah.
We had a big wick down. And then that's where we saw some of those strong alts putting in higher lows for the last sort of, since that April 14th dump. So those are the ones I've been watching. But man, I'm just excited. I think I'm like everyone else now. I'm a bit of a fan. I've sort of been, quite emotionless during this time of it sort of dipping. You kind of had to be, otherwise the market just chopped you up and spat you out. So just sitting on the hands or accumulating. And this is where, people like you and me, and I suppose a few people have maybe been around a while over the last 3 months. We're saying, guys, it's time to accumulate, especially altcoins, which have definitely been, I think, ignored a lot more than I've seen any other cycle. And that's obviously due to meme coins taking such a front seat. But I still think altcoins are going to have a massive run, man. So my bags are packed there. Meme coins, not so much. MOG, I see, has had a good run. MOG, I still have, thankfully.
Yeah, excellent.
I think that was undervalued for a long time. So, man, happy days. I'd love to see just an aggressive run up now, man. I'm good to go.
Yeah, 100%, Craig. And I think me and you were trying to shill this so much in the groups that we call in and also on the timeline that it is opportunity right now, guys. Before obviously the pump today, it was opportunity for this past sort of 2-month period of time because we have that much experience that essentially anytime you're in a bull market and anytime you see a pullback of at least 20%, 15% even, that gives you opportunities. And obviously we looked at the social metrics. So the fear and greed index came all the way back to neutral, all the way from extreme greed. So that's another metric that you can use on chain to sort of track the social narratives and the social sort of meta of how many people are actually invested and how many people are emotionally invested, as well as price being pulled back. But this is a chart that I like to always go to. This is essentially, it's just called the ALTCOIN season index. kind of reliable, but essentially there are a few different ways that you can track altcoin markets. And Craig and I have been talking a little bit about this as well, and we'll get onto that very shortly. But at the moment, we're still in very much a moderate sort of area. Our obviously altcoin season's up here, and we did see one at the start of this year, and that was mainly led behind Solana pumping all the way, obviously, to $210. And obviously, since then, BTC has kind of taken the reins again with the ETF approval, and now the ETH ETF approval is really interesting if that does go ahead, because this will likely see altcoins go on a mad rally. But the best way I like to look at altcoin sort of markets, guys, to make sure that there's strength across altcoins is total three. So total three is every altcoin, every cryptocurrency outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum. So this one here, as long as this is in your trend favor, so in other words, the trend is your friend. So as you can see here, we're rocking up towards high and to the right, which is where you want to be across all of your different charts. But as you can see here, we're breaking out as well, which is great to see. However, if we weren't breaking out here, then that shows me that there's more strength in Ethereum and more strength and more so Bitcoin as well in the current point of time. And there's so much to digest, Craig, at the moment. But essentially, let's start with ETH first BTC, because this looked to be bottomed for me for a long period of time. And this is probably why you did decide to pick up a bit of Ethereum recently, because we have seen it go all the way down, make higher lows, lower highs all the way, and then lower lows all the way, which is being bearishness. Look at this. This is since August 2022. So it's been a Solana show ever since those sort of times, and a Bitcoin show, obviously. And we have set in a little double bottom, which I did draw here. I thought we might have gone a little bit lower, but obviously with the ETF approval, it could obviously send this quite quickly back into this range. So is this something that you like to always look at, Craig, essentially your ETH versus BTC sort of pair?
Yeah, I do. So with all my alts, I've been checking, especially with the knowledge you've got, is against the BTC pair, just to see what. I mean, because it can be a bit deceptive versus USD, Kana or Tether or whatever you want to compare it to. You don't always get the full picture, and sometimes and it can sometimes show you if you're in a weak alt, it's actually better just hold Bitcoin. So if you're going to hold something, you would probably prefer to hold the big dog if it's overperforming comparatively to the alts. And the ETH BTC charts look terrible for ages. So you sort of, it's quite funny. You get those people that were in a couple of cycles before, perhaps maybe a bit married to their ETH bags. And they've been screaming, fuck Solana and blah, blah, blah. But the reality is over the last year, Solana's done a 7x and ETH's done a 1x. So, emotions aside, the data said holding Solana was a lot more profitable, about 6 times more profitable. So you can't argue with that. But that chart there is telling us that maybe it's ETH time plus the news. So the good news is for those people in Ethereum, it's now time probably to get excited. And rotating Sol profits into Ethereum a couple of months ago or a month ago probably would have been a really good play. But I think both are going to go great, man. So, but ETH maybe, what do you think? Oh, we can talk about it later. ETH versus Sol's going to be I bet you everyone's going to ask about it today.
Yeah, there's been a few comments. So a shout out to you, Dex. But essentially, look, I actually put a tweet out just probably half an hour ago around my thoughts around this price action here. But if you do look at this chart, there's nothing but bullishness here, guys. And why I showed Ben Cowan, because he is one of the top accounts in crypto space from last cycle. It has massive bags of BTC and Ethereum and actually Cardano as well. But what he has not done is once talk about Solana. And essentially, to me, that shows inaccuracy, because he's not up to date with what's happening across the market. And it shows that people like that aren't sort of essentially in the right headspace for this market. They've got their headspace from previous cycles. So he likes to use other metrics that worked last cycle to track the altcoin market. And what he essentially has done is missed Solana move from obviously $20 all the way to 200. Like we've already locked in a 10x on Solana, whereas he's obviously faded that. So it's always pays to look at the charts, guys, and follow the people who are up to date in the space. And like Craig and I try to do our best to make sure that we bring that to you all the time, both on the timeline in our alpha groups and obviously when we can do some of these streams. But if we look here, we're setting higher lows. The trend is your friend. Look at the aggressiveness here. This is Sol versus ETH. So in other words, if it goes up, it means you want to have more exposure to Sol. If it goes down, you want to have more exposure to ETH. And the more times that you knock on this door, so if you look here, we're setting, again, higher highs, now equal highs. The more times you knock up here, what happens to a door, guys? It breaks through and essentially Sol pumps higher. So I'm still extremely bullish on Solana compared to Ethereum. I do think having Ethereum is not a bad bet, considering obviously we've seen base meme coins take off. Blast is a super big airdrop that's being farmed at the moment as well, so that's one to keep an eye on. But right now, guys, it's not like we could consolidate here for a period of time and then break up towards maybe the end of this year. So if you look at the date down the bottom, it says the 9th of December. So this could all go all the way to the end of the year of consolidation, where ETH and Solana maybe move up together in their USD price. And I think that could potentially happen if the ETF does get approved, because Solana is certainly the narrative this cycle, because obviously last cycle it was Ethereum, and Ethereum did a 20x last cycle, and I know that Solana doing a 20x from $8 is very simple. So I think for a lot of us, a lot of our bags are packed already on Solana, and I think you just got to stay patient. Hey, Craig.
Yeah, exactly right. And you've had to be Solana sort of one of those ones that pumped really hard for a while, didn't it? And then it had that big I get maybe not massive, but consolidation phase to a certain point. And people got a bit like, oh, well, that's, a lot of people are saying, well, that's the top of Solana, and it pulled right back. Well, what did it dip to actually, Solana? It had a big pullback. Where's my chart?
42%.
Yeah, so would it go down to 115? So not actually that low, is it, when I look at it? But it did have a decent sized pullback, like you said, 50%. People went, okay, that's topped out. I don't think so. I think we've got a lot of running up to go. But like you said, I think both are going to perform great now, man.
I think so too. Yeah,
and it may not matter which one you're in. I'm in both, along with AVAX, which I've, as you know, I'm pretty bullish on. Been bullish on for a while. But the Solana chart's just so good, man. Whenever I compared the pairing to BTC, Solana just stood out to me so much. So happy days for everyone in altcoins. I think you're about to finally get rewarded. It's felt like a death by 1,000 cuts for a long time now, but I think things are about to get really great, Greeny.
I agree, Craig. And this chart shows you everything. So obviously, ETH in the short term might outperform Solana, and we might pull back here and range for a little bit longer. But obviously, the Solana versus BTC, because that's what we try to do at the end of the day. You either want to stack Bitcoin, or you want to try out trade Bitcoin to then capitalize on the market elsewhere. And I think a lot of people lose a lot of sense. And one of the topics I did want to discuss today is time capitulation, which we did see a little bit of over the past sort of couple of months, where not only like price went down about 20%, which isn't much in a bull market, guys, but time capitulation is where people get bored and people leave crypto, and then that's when they actually miss out on the serious gains. And lucky enough for you guys who are tuning in today, you're still here, and we're about to see some of the most craziest moves in history, because obviously we've got BTC, ETH, ETFs being approved. We've got MEMECOIN SUPERCYLE. We've got so many factors that are really catalysts in this market moving up very aggressively. So as you can see here, Sol versus BTC looks very good for a move towards its all-time highs in the coming months for sure. AVAX, obviously, but that's one that Craig and I have a lot of exposure to. You could technically say that we've set a double bottom down there as well. This is on the weekly. I always like to take a macro look. A triple bottom, obviously, if you look there, a triple bottom there. If we go in the daily, let's have a look. But as you can see here, it's a lot cleaner on the daily. We set a triple bottom. We're in this range. This could be a very nice long, guys, live on the show. Might have to take this long before I go to bed. But essentially what we're doing here, crack that, bang, and then we're back towards that $100 sort of dollar level that I've been targeting for a long period of time. So even to the heights of this cycle, guys, an AVAX along there is a crazy move. That's a 60% move, dude. I don't know about you, Craig. I was DCing hard into AVAX during this dip.
Yeah, same. I copped a lot more on that big dip. Every time it sort of wicked down there, I was buying. I got a fairly big bag at about the $30 mark when things were looking real bleak. I think that was, once again, I think that was April 14th or something like that, wicked down to about $30. In fact, I had to buy so fast because it did bounce pretty quick from 29 to 30 to about 32, 33. But I managed to catch it. That was a good buy. And actually bought a decent sized bag of Bitcoin when it went down on that big dip as well. So grabbed Bitcoin, grabbed AVAX, I actually, it was like Christmas morning for me when it did that. And like you said, just to comment on that, anytime I sort of told myself this bull run where there was a double digit correction, you know, maybe 10% or more, but leaning more towards the 15 to 20%, if I could get that. I told myself lean in hard, especially 20%.
Yeah.
So I did do that, and it's not always the nicest time to do it, and it kind of goes against everything your body or your mind might tell you when things are going crap, right? And Wix, say AVAX for instance, Wix down to 30, and everyone's like, oh my God, maybe you might remember this, Greeny, people are talking about maybe that's our top, maybe the ETF caused us to pump too much. I was just like, man, if you think that's the top, like maybe, but very unlikely. And, I guess it's a game of percentages, and the percentage chance of that being the top for me was very minimal. So I thought, I'm just going to go with the data. So I did. And these are the times where you sort of pat yourself on the back and go, thank God you had the balls and the conviction to trust the data rather than trust the guy down the road who's been in crypto 14 days and telling you, well, that's it, I told you so. So I always say this, I've got some friends who are just getting into crypto at the moment.
Yeah.
And the main thing I tell them is turn the news off, man. Do not watch TV. Do not worry about the wars. Like all the stuff the media throw at you. I mean, just yesterday before this pump, I woke up and all the news was Venezuela banning Bitcoin mining or turning off. So for me, what's interesting is in those bleak moments, the news is always very bleak to justify the price. But I find the news is normally a bit of a lagger.
Yes.
So, the war, I mean, we had the Iran, was it the president or, whatever, went down in a helicopter. Is this going to be World War III? We've had World War III about 17 times, man. We must be up to World War 18 now. And then, you've got the American political, Biden and Trump coming in at the moment. If Trump comes in, it's going to be World War 17 again. Man, every election year, if you look at bull runs with election years, it's good times, man. It's good times. So I think strap in. I'm pumped, man. I'm so excited that I'm in this space at this time. I mean, I look a lot at the real estate cycle as well, which some people talk a lot about. Jason Pisano, I have you say his name. He's big into the 18-year real estate cycle. Myself included, just because of the data that he presents is quite good from a macro perspective, and that sort of helped keep me sober during those times of extreme hype, but also sober in those times of deep depression. So, man, with the US dollar coming down now, looking like it's going to chill out, that looks like it's going to give everything else asset-wise, like crypto, an opportunity now to breathe. And by breathe, I mean actually run. So, for those people that stuck in, and didn't leave, well done. You easily could have left because it was boring. And if I don't know what you were like, Greeny, but if you played too much in the market, you probably got chopped up a bit. Meme coins as well. Meme 100%. Coins for me have been diabolical the last 2 weeks. Hot and cold. If you were in the good runners, you did really well. But if you picked any of the lukewarm ones, you got destroyed actually. So I know a few guys that lost some big money in the last 2 weeks who are pretty good traders. So probably was the time to sit on your hands, except for a couple of the meme coins, and just hang tight, accumulate your alts and get ready for this move. And looks like we might be there now. So congrats everyone who accumulated. I think we're about to be rewarded.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, well said. I think that just shows experience as well in the space, guys. And that's why I love talking to Craig, because he comes from a wealth of knowledge. He comes from a wealth of lack of emotion in this space. And that's what you need to do at the end of the day. Sometimes the best trade is no trade at all. So Luke asked a really good question here, is essentially, when is retail going to come back? So when are your normie friends going to be jumping into crypto saying, Greeny, I'm here, let's go. And I'm going to say the best way to track that is by the social metrics. So obviously the fear and greed index, once that starts to reach obviously extreme greed, that's when I start to consider, okay, there's a lot of normies, a lot of retail buyers stepping in. The other way to look at it is actual Google trends. So Bitcoin and crypto, as you can see here, what we saw last cycle is this literally reaching 100% for Bitcoin, guys. So this is one that I like to track. And as you can see, this cycle, we only have reached the 50 percentile mark. And where are we now? Down at 21%. So for me, that's the social metrics as well as the price that I like to consider to then go, okay, where are we in terms of where social norm thinks that we are? And obviously, Luke asked, when do you think retail comes back? My answer to that is when every altcoin is at an all-time high or Bitcoin hits 100K. That's when I think normies
as me.
step in. What do you think, Craig?
100, yeah, exact same as me. Retail come in when it's too late.
100%.
So retail are going to come in when everything's done, probably 80% of the move, maybe 90% of the move. And they're the ones that are going to push this into mania and frenzy and make the market really frothy. The ultimate answer is retail is going to enter when it's too late, and retail is going to enter when we exit. But what you just said, good. I mean, when Bitcoin, when Bitcoin hits 100K, that magic number, that's when it's going to be all over the news, and Drake's going to be shilling another Bitcoin post like he did a bit with Michael Saylor. Man, anytime you've got celebrities doing, I mean, Drake, I think, shilled almost the Pico top last time for Bitcoin.
Yep.
He put up a post, next day it tanked. So definitely don't follow Drake or any celebrity for your crypto needs. Yep. They're gonna shill those things at the frothy top. But yeah, retail are going to come in when the news is going on about it. Everywhere you look, everyone's going to be speaking about it. Donald Trump's obviously speaking a bit more favorably about crypto this campaign run. Very smart of him to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, when you start seeing Sandra Bullock and Ryan Gosling and guys like that wearing a Bitcoin t-shirt, and Jack Dorsey and all those people, look to take some profit.
100%. And so you can track some on-chain sort of metrics to make sure you're aware of where the whales are and essentially where retail is. And so this is looking to Bitcoin. As you can see here, this is wallet addresses with at least a little bit of exposure of Bitcoin. This is obviously, I'm trying to do the math in my head, about $1,000 US dollars at the moment is essentially what we're looking at here. And as you can see, this orange line, retail has been buying for a long period of time, which is good. Like, you want to see new buyers step in over a long period of time. We saw a massive dip here, obviously recently in March. But the big one to be keeping an eye on is this one here. Essentially, Bitcoin whales. So this is people that have, or hedge funds, obviously institutions, ETF hedge funds right now, obviously accounts that have the money to buy more than 1,000 Bitcoin. And what we have noticed is, since the peak of last cycle, as you can see here, we've been on an absolute downtrend until this point of time here when BTC was at 40K. And obviously, institutions were aware that the ETF was probably likely going to be approved. And what happened? We've seen whales accumulate this like no other. And so you always want to make sure that you're buying Bitcoin or selling Bitcoin when the whales are buying Bitcoin or selling Bitcoin, because that way you're staying up to date with what these massive hedge funds are doing, who have the liquidity to move the market like 10 to 20% on certain days, okay? And another metric that you can obviously use is the ETF flows. And obviously, as you can see here, guys, we've seen a really nice steady increase across the ETF inflows this week. So this is obviously normie money. This is obviously hedge funds stepping in, buying the Bitcoin on the exchanges, which is great because that brings in a whole massive volume into the crypto market. So always good to keep an eye on whale addresses, and obviously on this side of the market as well, because this way you stay up to date with what actual hedge funds are doing, what the big money's doing, what the institutional wealth is actually doing. So that's my 2 cents, Craig. Any thoughts on that, or we can move on to a new topic?
No, I with the ETF flows, I have a look at it, but I try not let it distract me too much. Don't get me wrong, Bitcoin ETF was phenomenal, man. And yeah, I mean, seeing that green now just kind of confirms the hype that's surrounding it. Yeah. But one of the things I did notice is the outflows were really high when Bitcoin was at its low.
Yeah.
So the ETF, these management funds are also selling Bitcoin at its bottoms and buying at its tops.
Yeah.
So what's interesting to me is they kind of operate a lot like retail, not emotionally, but I just found it interesting how they were selling the bottoms as well. Mm-hmm. So I try not let the ETF flows kind of dictate my emotional space too much. It's one of those things I keep an eye on, but that it's definitely not my buy or sell signal. But I use it as a thermometer to kind of back up where we are psychologically in the market.
Yeah.
So probably more so like that versus me looking at that and going, okay, shit, they're bullish. We need to get in. For me, that's a lagging indicator. Just like retail are. But man, don't get me wrong, seeing that green, yeah, having so many people now having so much exposure
Mm-hmm.
is fantastic. And I guess we could call those people retail.
Yeah.
Which is great. So our retail coming? Looks like it. Looks like they're here.
Yeah.
Obviously in a different capacity to my friends who come in and buy $1,000 a bit, Doge or whatever they buy. But yeah, not much more to say on that. I think it's a great little reading, but I don't let it sort of predict anything for me. It kind of just gives me an idea of psychologically if people are depressed or if they're feeling euphoric. And it looks like they're feeling a bit euphoric now. So yeah, might get ready to take some profit in a little bit.
I think so too, and I think that's like we've spoken about that on previous streams too. Like as soon as my friends probably start to DM me, "Hey Greeny, I'm looking to buy crypto," that's when I start to scale out. That's a great
Yeah,
indicator. It is a great. It sucks,
yeah,
and I'll probably tell them, "Hey guys, you're literally buying at the top. Literally everyone is in profit except for you." But at the end of the day, it's a decision, and I'll say, "Okay, that's a good indicator for me to start scaling out a profit." So let's segue into obviously our altcoin bags, Craig, because we are seeing a mad pump over on the side. If you just look over on the side, guys, look at this. Look at the green
yeah.
over here, like
It's
that.
been
It
a
is
while since
just
it's looked like that.
it's just great to see. Obviously, like BTC's up 5%, ETH is up 20%. ETH
That's so
bounced
good.
against BTC up 13%, but it's great to see all of our altcoins doing really well over on the side there, guys. So we'll take a look at some charts. AVAX looks very good here. I probably should have brought this triple bottom, but I didn't. But I might buy this accumulation range and distribution up towards the top there. So I'll keep an eye on that chart, but that's definitely one that we've got a look at. Sol is still in this accumulation range for a period of time. It wouldn't surprise me if we maybe do reject from here and then sort of come back down, maybe retest the mid zone and then pump like that in the sort of coming months. That's what I'm looking at there. Some of these are the other altcoins that I have been DCing hard into during this dip. Nia, it focuses a lot on the AI narrative and is a really good competitor and sort of just being sort of just in the shadows, I suppose, because like look at the strength of Nia this cycle, guys. So it's been accumulating this really nice sort of consolidation phase. So I decided to pick up a couple bags there of Nia because it's showing a lot of strength to head towards sort of its previous levels up here, guys. So there's still a lot of upside for it. So 20%. So it could still pump to 3x, if not go higher this cycle. Say is one that I have been a little bit more bearish on in the short term. Obviously, we've set it broke down from this sort of area, this sort of range. But obviously, we've got a double potential bottom cracking in there. But I would love for it to come back into this range and sort of show me strength there. Say is less of a market sort of mover for me at the moment. The other one that I've been keeping an eye on is obviously Sui. If you dive into it and what's happening on its sort of platform as well, I think it's not a bad play at the moment. We've got this sort of wedge playing out over on the side here, and I'm more bullish on the tech side of Sui as a sort of background play to Solana and those other types of plays. At the moment, if you dive on chain, it's actually having a lot of like essentially great things happening on the chain. So not only that, but this chart looks quite oversold. If we do look at the CCI, it was very oversold down here. So always good to keep an eye on other altcoin plays outside the main narratives, which is obviously Solana and AVAX. So those two are looking really good. Injective was looking really good. We saw a massive dip down here. We obviously did break. I drew this earlier today. Shout out to Sexy because he alluded us to this in the group. A couple of days ago, actually, he said, "Oh, look, it could potentially be bordering around this range." And it did. It got back to the golden pocket and has bounced. So I picked up just a DCA bag. I bought some injective today. I didn't long it. I should have longed it, but that's okay. Again, I'm going to run through all these because it's been so long, guys. So Craig, step in at any time if you want to, mate, of course.
Yeah. The ones you mentioned there are ones I don't have, but I've been following you in them. I just promised myself this cycle I'd sort of commit to not as many as last time. Last time I felt like a soldier who's gone to war. You know, there's that meme with the person with about 5,000 altcoin badges on the chest. Last bull run, I must have had about 40 altcoins I was running, and this time I told myself I'd trim that right back. So I've got about 12 altcoins I'm sitting in at the moment, which is enough to have to monitor, isn't it? Yeah. So there's probably lessons for people in that. Last bull run, I was just like throwing darts at a board because everything looks so good. But what I found is it just got so hard to track and monitor and emotionally sort of cope with.
Yeah.
But yeah, Matic you're on now. That's one for me. I have got Matic, and it's one of the ones when I was accumulating for this bull run, I was hesitant to, because of how well it performed last run. And I did wonder, is it going to be the Litecoin of last run? Because last run I got into Litecoin and it just didn't do it. Or Chainlink as well. Chainlink and Litecoin last run just didn't do much for me. They had their runs and then they just died out. So Matic was one of the ones I was super cautious about. I still am. What are your thoughts on Matic? It's just sort of lagged for so long now.
It has. I did a little bit of research recently, and the tech side of it is still thriving. Nowhere near as dominant as say even Sui and Say more recently, but it still has a lot of partnerships and doing a lot of good stuff. In terms of this, it definitely looks quite oversold, guys. Look at this chart. We've got a very low oversold on the CCI. We've got a lot of upside, even just into this range, Craig. So I think for me, I bought a bag during this dip too. Because I think it's not a bad play in the short term. I don't know if it outperforms sort of other plays. As you can see here, it's kind of on par with a lot of the other tokens. But I think this is not a bad swing trade up to this range, and then just keep an eye here. Maybe you take profits here, and just because we could reject here, if we don't, we obviously will crack this sort of range here and then continue higher. But I don't see it going to all time highs this cycle. From here to there, that's a long way to all time highs. It's about a 4x. So I don't know, it could get there. I think it's smart to have exposure at the moment to Matic, but for me, it's just one that I might just swing trade.
Same as me. I think I'll be looking to take. That's probably one of them I'll be looking to take maybe a bit of an early exit on. The chart just doesn't scream confidence to me. Just about every other chart I look at in my portfolio, I can look at it and I can see hope, or I can see, but Matic, I look at it and I think, I'll be happy to get an exit on a 2x on that bad boy, you know what I mean? So I might just cop the 2x and just go, well, at least you didn't go backwards, right? And I think that's an important lesson in itself. And Greeny, you preach this a lot. Know when to take the L, know when to take a loss, know when just taking a little win's good enough. And then know when to go for the Hail Mary on the other ones. And AVAX and Sol are sort of my Hail Mary plays where I'm prepared to go for the touchdown. But Matic, I'll be happy just to get a first down, with it and go, right, that's me. I hope it does well for those who are in it. But I feel like just watching it for so long now, maybe I'm jaded, but the chart's just telling me there was better things to be in. But at the same time, we're going back to October last year when I was buying, and sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles, and you win some, you lose some. And for me, Matic would be one of those ones. I think I'll try get out with a 1.5, 2, 3x and just be like, shit, I survived. And that's good enough, man. A 2x in 5 months. It's okay.
That's better than any other market that you can trade in this world. So why fade that sort of opportunity? No, and that's a great point that you bring up again, Craig. I think it's an important education point that I think a lot of people can learn is take profit during euphoria. Things cannot go up forever and ever. And a classic example is Mad Lads. I copped it down here at a crazy valuation. I think I did the math here. Yeah, I copped it at $2,000 and I sold it for $34,000 at the peak. And obviously it dipped. I went into a big analysis there, guys, that you can read. But this is where I sold up the top here. And look at what happened after. So you always want to make sure that you're taking profit and de-risking and putting it back into solid assets at the end of the day. And that for me is obviously Solana and Bitcoin this cycle, or AVAX even more recently as well. So I just thought I'd educate people again on that topic, that buy the fear in a bull market and obviously sell the greed and sell the euphoria during a a massive profit taking time, in my opinion. And we spoke about that with the puppets as well, Craig, and funnily enough, I'm back into the puppets as of today, and we'll talk about that very shortly, but this is we'll finish our altcoin analysis. Beam is one that Craig and I have had exposure literally from down here, guys. So we're up quite a lot already. I'm pretty sure we've had it from down there. So we're up about a 3 to 4x already. But this chart looks very good. I think this could be a very nice.
I'm so thankful to see that, man.
Looking at this, excuse me, this is pumping up to that 1.68 in time without a doubt. We might consolidate, and then move up like this. So from here to that, at least that level, that's still about a 2x from here. So I think this is a no-brainer being slept on in the gaming market at the moment as well. Obviously, Joe's one that's been very interesting, Craig. It's been on the on the
It's been
quieter side.
frustrating, Joe, a
Yeah,
little bit.
it has been, and like obviously it follows that narrative of AVAX. With like you can't even chart this, guys. Like there's just like it's been like kind of maybe even manipulated
It's a
in a
bit of a
way.
nightmare.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
again, I still own a bit of Joe. I did de-risk a little bit of Joe during these pumps up here, and allocated more into Solana and stuff. But it looks like we've formed a nice bottom here, in the short term like this. Okay, so we just might need to break that sort of resistance there to see strength and continue higher. So Joe's one, yeah, just keeping it on the sidelines. Jupiter Craig, do you have exposure to Jupiter?
I don't, and I wish I did. It's one of those ones that I think is going to perform really well. It was just I did have exposure, and I sold out a little while ago. Would have been on that pump actually, not at
Yeah,
the top, not nearly near the top. I wish I could
yeah.
claim that, but I got out a little bit earlier. Once again, I just there was just too much to focus on, but I am bullish on it, and I think it's going to perform great.
Yeah, Solana ecosystem, Jupiter, Pith, those, and Radium, which we were about to get to as well,
Yeah,
is one that Craig and I do have exposure to. But this Jupe looks so good here. Like this is like on a
yeah.
macro scale, higher lows. Like this is very good chart. So I have a little bag of Jupe. I don't have a big bag. Radium is one that I do have a very big bag of.
Same.
And so if we look at
That's my baby there. It's one of my babies. That's probably my third or fourth biggest holding actually. So
it actually is in my
probably
top
fourth.
five.
Sorry, fourth.
Yeah.
Geez, that chart. I mean, yeah, I don't know if we'll see all time high. That will. If we see all time high, I don't know if you'll get me on the stream again. I'll probably be in Barbados on the beach, but yeah, I'm hopeful for it. It's look at I wish. But it's starting to look good, man. It's starting to look all right.
Yeah, so it's an 8.5x. In terms of like it, I'm not sure. I haven't looked at its market cap for a long time, but it could be inflationary too, which might be the reason. But I think like a lot of people are fading Radium because they actually don't like think about the tech side of Radium. Like think about meme coins, guys. Where are all of the liquidity pools on Radium? Okay, so like they are making an insane amount of fees. They're the main platform that everyone creates all these Solana meme coins on. Why are you fading something like that? And me and you, Craig, we talked about this like literally probably nearly coming up on around a year ago, and we saw
Yeah,
the opportunities. Like I'll zoom back in all the way down here because we saw the opportunities because we've been talking about it probably since about this sort of period here. We were picking it up
yeah,
down here at about that level there, and
yeah,
honestly, this was a no-brainer if you look on chain about what's actually happening on Solana and that type of stuff. So even though people don't use Radium to actually trade, people use Radium to provide liquidity pools. People use Radium to essentially trade liquidity pools. So you definitely want to have that exposure in your Solana ecosystem. And yeah, look, I don't think it's going to pump all the way to an all-time high. But I think it definitely can hit some of these levels up here and still be at least another 5x from probably where I would see. Like maybe this liquidity up here. Maybe that could be our levels, Craig. I reckon. I'd be happy with
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I'll take that. Even the $5-6 mark, but I think you're right. That's probably more where you're going to cop resistance there. I mean, man, if that hits $8, man, I'll be a happy man. I'll be booking some flights. I'm already spent. It's actually a bad mental state to be in when you start calculating all your
Yeah,
gains
I
before
know.
you make them, right? But we're in bull market time, so I'm letting myself sort of imagine the good times of what I'm going to buy. But that's normally a time to start selling when I start thinking like that. But
Yeah.
that chart, man, if that gives me sort of gives me a 4x, I'll be pretty friggin' happy, man. So
I agree.
I'm
But
still optimistic. I think it's like Joe. It's sort of a side
yeah,
bet on the main chain.
yeah,
Ray to me, Ray and Joe. I'm just a bit more optimistic about Ray than I am Joe, though.
yeah, same.
Just chart wise, Joe, as we saw before, just looks a bit diabolical to even chart. Whereas
Yeah.
Ray's a lot cleaner movement wise, so I'm a bit more
Mm-hmm.
confident. So it's one of those moments where you get confidence out of the chart versus confidence of reading what they're building and things like that. But that chart looks, I mean, look at that, man.
It's consistent as, yeah, exactly. Like, why would you fade a chart like that? And Mickey asked a really good question. Like, I'm very bullish on Jupiter as well. I have exposure to Jupiter. Yes, they are the best DEX exchange to use if you're trading Solana, and they obviously have an airdrop coming in January next year again for the second one. However, Radium has, as I just said, all of those liquidity pools, has all the fees that they're accumulating and those types of things. So you definitely want to dive into that. So Yeah, so it's really cool to see that Radium has that price action that's doing really, really well.
Well, with the pump.fun coins, Greedy, am I right that for them to launch, their liquidity goes to Radium after they launch?
Exactly. And
So
Pump.fun is
all
getting...
the pump.fun coins that we're all getting involved in, all that's kind of the hype at the moment. I mean, that's just bullish for Radium.
Yeah. Sexy, do you have the link? Can you share the link, and I'll pull that up if we can. Yeah, so Radium's we got a couple more to go through. So IMX is one that Craig and I have exposure to as that gaming narrative. So it's
Quite a
honestly,
good performer, IMX,
it has
actually.
been. Like, we've got this, like, technically this is maybe a potential bearish pattern. Like, we might have a head and shoulders here, which is bearish, but obviously if the market's moving up, everything's going to be moving up, and obviously it's going to negate that if it pumps above that sort of level there. But if you look at this chart, I'll take the fib off. We're obviously, yeah, it's back into this range, which is great to see. Technically, you could probably say that it obviously has broken back into there. So I could probably even claim that this liquidity all the way down here is essentially the bottom of the range. So yeah, IMX in a very nice accumulation zone. You've got to remember, this is one, Craig, that we spoke about here, I'm pretty sure, when it did this massive double bottom. So
yeah,
this
that's
is
right. Yeah,
like this, and then it went like that and rallied up. What was that? Yeah, about a 2x, but we were accumulating down here. So yeah, Radium's had its time, and it's certainly going to be one that...
IMX to me is sort of
Sorry,
similar
IMX. Yeah.
mindset wise to Matic for me, where I kind of wondered, would it be a lagger, because obviously last run IMX had quite a good run, same with Matic.
Yeah.
And I wondered, the only thing I suppose concerning to me with IMX is has it had its run?
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, IMX is one of the ones, that and Matic for me, the ones that I'm deciding on the next pump whether I take my profits and go, that'll do.
Yeah.
But I'm a bit more I'm actually not a bit, I'm a lot more optimistic about the IMX chart versus the Matic chart.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, so Blade asked a really good question, like blast market cap predictions. Honestly, it's so hard to know. Like, you don't know how much of the circulating supply they're going to come out with. You don't even know how the Blur blast airdrop's going to work. It's obviously 50-50, but are they going to incentivize people to stay on Blur? Are they going to incentivize people to stay on blast? Likely the latter. In terms of market cap predictions, $1 billion, I don't know. Well, it would be very interesting to see. A lot of people have farmed that quite aggressively. I haven't obviously had the time to do it, but I think it's definitely very lucrative if you got in nice and early and have had that opportunity to take advantage of that. The last chart we'll look at is obviously Pepe. And this is essentially what I'm talking about, where you just don't want to be fading memes. Like, just don't fade memes. It's as simple as that.
Meme coins they're crazy, eh? That chart just doesn't even make sense. Which is amazing. It's so good. It's so, because this is the stuff that's going to drive retail.
100%.
So that's just disgusting.
No, it's so good to see. Like, exactly right. Like, without meme coins on Solana, like, people with small wallets just can't get in, and people can't participate in like big things. So like, and I literally tweeted that out earlier today. Meme coins are so successful because it's so easy for people with low liquidity to have exposure. Like, you can take $100 and have a go with meme coins and make a 10x and turn that into 1,000 within one day. So why would you fade markets like that? And I think that might be a really good segue into the meme coin market. Now, obviously, Craig, you said more recently you've been in sort of the hot and cold sort of pattern, and I do agree. I think the narrative was obviously cats, and then obviously politics. We managed to get that in my group. A couple of weeks ago, I shared all the politics tokens, and a few of them did quite nicely, like 5 to 10x. I'm still in a couple of them as well, which I think are still undervalued.
With Trump in it, man, anything with Trump in it goes friggin' berserk. If that's an indicator of who's winning the election, it's got to be Trump, man, because Biden stuff tends to lag Trump stuff a lot, doesn't it?
100%. So, like, this is Trump right here, guys. Like, look at that. We accumulated down here. It did about a 10x, if not more. I think 15x. If you caught the pump up there. So that was Trump. And like, if you look at Biden, and like, Biden on Sol is one that this is one that I haven't actually
seen it.
I'm in this. I'm like quite invested in this, because like, even if it pumps to 1 million just to catch up to the Trump narrative, and if you look up here, it obviously has pumped up to like 500k before.
Actually, that did have a good reversal, didn't it?
Exactly. So, like,
Man,
you don't fade the narrative. Like, this one's quite simple. Like, a nice swing trade up to easily
it's
a
probably not a
million
bad buy,
five
eh?
hundred k. Yeah. So, I've been accumulating around that sort of 100k region a couple of times. So, I think it's, again, don't fade the narrative, don't fade the obvious play, and that's politics. And politics still have a lot of months to run this cycle. And that, so
There's
it's
going
just
to be a
really
lot of
interesting.
news. There's going to, it's going to be in people's faces all the time, and it's obviously
That's
quite
it.
an emotional topic for people as well. It creates emotion,
Yeah.
which on the other side of the coin can create a lot of hype. Both of them say a lot of stupid shit at sometimes. They say a lot of good stuff at sometimes. So I agree with you. I think Trump and Biden coins probably at this time of the run and it's at the perfect time with the bull market as well.
That's
That's the
it.
great part. So there's a lot of liquidity floating out there, and it wants somewhere to go, including my own.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pick things like that. There's the Argentinian president, Milu, I hope you say his name. Him and Trump sort of speak the same sort of language. They're both pro
Hmm.
crypto now. He's another one I'd look at. But yeah, I agree with you. The politics. But we'll talk about MOG a bit because I've got MOG bags. So let's pump my bags.
Well, the last one to touch on is Trump as well. We got into this at about
Oh, Trent,
28.
sorry, yeah.
Yeah, 28 million down in the group as well. I shared that as well. So yeah, it's up about a 4 to 5x as well. So yeah, don't fade the obvious plays. But yeah, Mog is I got a DM from a very reputable account in crypto Twitter today that said he's heard rumors that there is potential market makers coming to buy Mog. And obviously recently Mog was listed on Bybit perpetuals,
I
which
did see
doesn't
that.
often happen for meme coins unless they're really 500 million or higher. So those two
Yeah.
indicators alone, plus this massive spike in volume down the bottom that we've seen, as well as price action, I went so hard into Mog. Like I bought a lot of Mog in the sort of the past couple of in the past couple of weeks because like this was an accumulation zone. Like this move here alone, just up to this range, was about a 15x. So this move,
Yeah,
like
that's right.
even like a 5x from here, like puts us like up here, like at towards a 5x from about 200 million, puts us at a billion. So I think it's definitely underrated. It's definitely sort of undervalued, and hence why I changed my PFP to a MOG. a MOG.
Yeah, it's been
A MOG.
undervalued for a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah,
It's one of those ones that this bull run, it's the laser eyes of this bull run, isn't it?
that's it.
Which surprised me that it had such a long accumulation phase. But the rewards are getting reaped now, man.
Yeah,
Like looking at
100%.
that now, I wish I'd had bigger balls. About the start of 24.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
should have gone in a lot harder. I've got a bag of Mog, and I wish it was a lot bigger. And to be honest with you, I'm thinking about grabbing more.
I think it's like at
I think it's
300.
still a good buy.
Yeah.
That's still too low for me.
Yeah, I agree.
I
I
might be
think like
retarded. I'm a bit biased. I just think it's so ridiculous that it's great. And I
exactly.
love the whole Pit Viper, and just from a cultural significance point of view, a lot of my son's 7 going on 8, they all know what Pit Vipers are.
Hmm.
They may not know what Mog is, you know what I mean? I'm just saying it's out there in the wild, and it's easy to get photos of people with the Pit Vipers on, and it just works. Yeah, I need a bigger bag.
Well, like you still got time. Like, look at this. Like, I haven't even charted it this way, but that's a double bottom right there with the potential
Mm.
breakout a lot higher. So if we look at the fib, like and like that, so we could definitely target up here, which is still a move of from current price action to at least that 1.6 is still a 2.4x move. So a lot of potential for more, which would put us at about 600 million. Sorry, I think this definitely is one that a lot of people were sleeping on for a long period of time. And the DM that I got, it's a very reputable source, and I trust that information. So for me, it's a no brainer this cycle to hold that. In terms of other tokens, obviously we've spoken about like Pepe, and we've spoken about the politics side of things. One that obviously was faded very recently is obviously with because it is so tied to Ansem, Craig, which is kind of like it's kind of shitty because at the end of the day,
It
like
is shitty.
it's like it's so not representative of maybe the meme itself, but it has become him as a meme in a way because he's obviously been very prominent and he is obviously the main character of this cycle, so he can't fade that at all. Um, And so Joe is a high tip. Joe, I haven't looked at Joe in a long time. It's actually, that's crazy.
Joe's been performing well, I think, over the last, I couldn't even tell you how long, but I know a few guys that are pretty heavy into Joe, and they've started piping up over there we go. They started piping up a week ago. So I kind of figured, okay, must be doing pretty well if they're starting to, hey guys, whenever you're in a group chat and someone goes, hey, have you seen Joe? I was like, fuck, has it done a big run? That's actually pretty nice though. That's not a
bad. Like again, but it's on ETH. Like I'm not trading on ETH. Like ETH, there's still money to be made on ETH. Don't get me wrong, but I'm trading on Solana. Like it's just so easy, and with Photon and with Bonkbot, like it's just so easy to do.
It's the friction's a lot less. Just the gas. There's going to be people out there like, they'll say things like, oh, gas is bullish and blah, blah, blah. And I suppose you could look at it that way. But I kind of also think about, all the people that I know that they don't have massive amounts of capital to play with.
Yeah.
Look, I can argue both ways. I could argue ETH's the place to be because people that have got the capital to play with perhaps play there.
That's it.
We'll see. I think having your fingers in both is probably not a bad thing, and I do. But I'm like you. I'm a bit apprehensive to enter new ETH plays. Is probably what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, for sure. And that's it. Like I've been trading, if a lot of people have probably recently seen, I've been trading a lot more established tokens because we've seen consolidation in those tokens that are going to push them towards the higher range compared to trying to find these really low market cap ones.
I think the winners have kind of been selected.
Yeah.
To me, it's quite clear, even chart wise now. I'm the same as you. I don't like that it's tied close to Ansem. It's great in times of euphoria when the market's hot and he's hot and everything's going great. In fact, being tied to him is probably not the worst thing coming up into a bit of a hysteria mania time. That's probably not a bad buy now.
100%. Yeah, I do agree. And
he'll milk it well.
100%. It's funny you say that because shout out to Sexy. He actually got us in a long on whiff down at the 2.4, 2.5 region. So and if you look at the high time frame, like it was definitely a buy here, or like at least a long opportunity. Like your stop loss there is probably about there, and obviously the higher time frame, like it was a really good risk to reward entry there. So shout out to Sexy for getting us into whiff. The obvious other one that comes to mind when you're thinking Solana is obviously Bonk, it looks very good here, Craig. Like look at this, mate. Like it is broken out very nicely just today. So this probably pushes, in my opinion, to an all-time high in the coming weeks and months probably as well.
Yeah, what's your thoughts prediction-wise? What's going to be the premier number one meme coin and Sol?
Man. Like WIF still has a higher, like this market cap's only at 2 bills. So for me, I think WIF retains it because it's at 2.7. Yeah, I think WIF's still strong. Yeah, so even though like FTB, but Bonk does have an unlock probably, I think it's a couple months away still. But once that hits the markets, like probably people will take profits, not surprisingly, in certain ways. And obviously Bonkbot has been a massive referral program as well. So people probably scale our profits in that way as well. So I think WIF's definitely the one to keep an eye on. Shout out to one of the comments who just reminded me of another one that I have bought recently, Mickey, and that is Ponky. Let's pull that one up. So if we look at Ponky,
I wish I'd held this, man. Fuck. Yeah. I wish I held that.
Look at this. I was trading this all the way down here.
Makes me sick seeing that. God damn it. I got into that so early. Classic story.
Classic story. Yeah. But no,
you know what? That's the thing with meme coins. 99 times selling's the right move on that one. Yes. That was the wrong move.
Yes, exactly. And but no, that's one. I have a little bag of this. I cannot remember what time I got
in. It's getting shilled pretty heavily now, man. There's some big accounts starting to shill it. So I think they've obviously started to invest in marketing pretty heavily.
Yeah, very much.
I think they might have market makers helping them out there.
Yeah.
It just feels like.
Yeah, that's a very fair point, actually. Yeah, so this is another one that I think.
But hey, I'm all for it, man. I'd love to be in coins with market makers. Bring them in, paint the chart. I don't care.
Pump my bags, please. Pump my bags. So what did it actually say? So weekly set pay. Yeah, so the last invested airdrop has already been taken. So that's very interesting. That's very interesting.
Okay.
So Myro, obviously, it's another sleeper. This is probably I think it might be it's top 5 definitely meme coins on Solana. And look at this. This has been a very long accumulation. Again, 3 months. So
I actually forgot about this coin.
Yeah, and its community is one of the strongest on Twitter still to date. So I'd rank Mog as number one, and then I'd rank Myro as number two, compared to
Yeah,
any other
right.
meme coin. Yeah, and
So it's
honestly,
probably a
like
good buy there.
I think it's definitely. I aimed a decent bag at this sort of market here. Once this breaks out, this probably looks to push towards that 500 million sort of range. If it follows anything to do with like Ponky and other ones like that, I think Myro's a no brainer for me, pushing
Yeah, I
higher.
need to get some of that. That looks great. That chart looks unreal.
Yeah, for sure. And
Like,
okay,
like breaking down from there just looks unlikely, man.
no, it looks so unlikely. Like it does look unlikely, and particularly if the market moves up, like money's going to flow into tokens like this that
Yeah.
haven't broken out just yet. So
Okay,
I
don't
think,
buy that, anyone. I need to buy that once we get off the stream. Fucking hell,
yeah,
that looks like one of the best setups I've seen in a while.
I've got a few. You know what? I'm just going to try and buy it right now. Actually,
Same. Right, we're going to cut the stream, guys.
yeah, good to cut the stream.
No,
Well,
that looks unreal.
it does, and I think that's a good segue into this, Craig, because
Yep.
a lot of people like have been fading runes and been fading ordinals. I obviously
And
just
I think this might be my play of the bull run apart from puppets for me. I reckon runes could get fucking crazy, man.
100%.
Because there's no ceiling on them.
Exactly.
There's no historical data for us to go, well, that was the top last run, which means price discovery is just going to be, well, we're in it. Like it's going to,
Exactly.
this could get so frothy.
Exactly. And like if you look at this,
what are
like
your thoughts?
I think it's you got to be so bullish on something like this. Like if the fact it's on Bitcoin, like if the amount of liquidity that went to Bitcoin at the start of this cycle, in terms of ordinals and obviously in terms of pre-runes, that sort of stuff, like you can't fade like that sort of wealth and that sort of interest, right? And Solana meme coins will continue to dominate, but they still dominated whilst ordinals also dominated the market. So for me, I think having exposure, like we've been talking about this in the alpha groups as well, Craig, is having exposure to buying something like this down at these levels. So obviously this is pups. This is probably the best sort of chart to track sort of all of them because a lot of them are like this, very oversold territory. But what you're noticing down here, Craig, and we discussed this, I think it was last week, we've got like a higher low on a massive time frame there, guys. So it's a bit hard for me to use, but this is the best chart. Oh, actually, there is another one, actually, Craig. Do you remember that? It was SAT something, that site. I'll try and find it. SAT
Yes.
screen. Here we go.
Oh, you got it? Yeah, this site, for everyone who's watching our stream now, this is awesome, man. I think I got this from your group, I think.
Yeah, Jassim. Shout out to Jassim for sharing it. If we go to
such a good site, man.
It has everything in there. Like there's a bit of noise going on, so you do have to turn off a few
always
things.
do that as well. Yeah,
I
wish
to
I
change
could just default it.
Yeah, I know. I like to change it to Magic Eden because that's where I trade. And then obviously I change it to USD because obviously USD is a stable, so it's a bit easier to track. But as you can see here, guys, so if you look at a lot of these top runes, and so for Craig and I, the main ones that we have exposure to are obviously Rune, Coin, which is RSIC. We have Pups exposure. We have Dog, and we have Satoshi and Decentralized. They're the top five that I think you definitely don't want to be fading. And as you can see here, we're seeing a mad run, 28% on these, and these are going to like break out very aggressively. And so that's that was RSIC. Let's look at Dog if it wants to load.
I think the great potential about these is there's not many people in it.
That's it.
There's not, so that's what's exciting to me. A, you've got the Bitcoin market cap, which just dwarfs everything.
Yes.
B, you've got people that play with Bitcoin. They don't like playing in Sol and ETH. So you'll capture that liquidity. They don't have a casino, or they haven't had a casino until now, e.g. runes and ordinals, especially runes being shit coins per se. And C, we've got no historical data about tops. And D, they're so new. So you've got the excitement of it being new. The market caps are fairly small. And you've just got a massive pool of liquidity that if that enters this, wowee, man, I think we're going to see people posting Lambo type shit with this.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think what you're going to see is because so many people faded it. Do you know the reason why I went in, apart from the charts looking good, double bottoms and things like that, was it reminded me of ordinals last year when ordinals were just getting rubbished. And I must admit, I was one of them. I had ordinals last year and I bought them and I forgot I even had them in my wallet. I'd written them off and I was thinking this is never going to take off and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But then as time went on, it kind of just made sense. And I just felt Runes to me, temperature-wise on the timeline, felt just the same as ordinals when everyone was bagging them out, myself included. And I was like, man, if history teaches me anything, I was wrong then about ordinals. Very, very wrong. Actually, ordinals was definitely my best play this bull run. It outperformed everything else I was in. And I just think Runes is going to do the same. And I think it's going to give gains that blow. And the good thing about it is when you see these start doing 2-3x's, that's when you're going to see the people in Sol and Ethereum are going to go, well, fuck, I don't want to miss out. They're going to enter. And that's what's going to tip it into complete frenzy mode when you're going to have people on the timeline, like we had with Pups when they did that massive run up.
Yeah.
Man, I've got people in my group chats. I think there was one guy that had 750,000 of Pups.
Holy hell.
and he put it, he might have put in, dude, I think he put in 15 grand. So it's where you see stories like that. I might have the numbers wrong, man, but it's not far off that. And it's stories like that you read that makes other people go, well, fuck, it's fear of missing out. It's FOMO.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see that happen in the next, I don't want to give a time for what's happening now. I reckon it's happening now. I think, someone said to me, when do you think the best time to buy Runes was? It was actually in my group. I said probably about 2 weeks ago, man.
Yeah.
And the next best time is probably now.
I think you're right.
I don't think it's worth waiting for a rejection now. I'd rather just be in.
Yeah, agreed.
So please pump my bags, everyone. Please buy. But no, seriously, seeing those percentages, seeing the 24-hour there, double digits on all the top ones. Yeah, I think it's go time.
Yeah, I agree. And I want to ask you this too, Craig. What are your thoughts on this? Like, obviously, I think in alignment with the sort of analysis that you just did on Runes, I think puppets and I think OMBs, etc., are really, I think these that screams an easy swing trade back to 0.25 or even to
0.3
or to 0.3,
man, that
right.
I mean,
live on the show.
We're great. There we go. Yeah, look, I think that's a pretty. I'd be confident on a 2x there.
Yeah. Oh, someone might have beat me to it.
Oh yeah, I get that all the time, especially if I just move money.
Someone beat me to it, guys. Oh, damn. All right, you know what? I'm gonna buy another one.
What was it? How much was it?
It was 0.175.
Well, going for the hat, yeah, shed light, yeah. I think that's a good buy, man. Someone got it. Someone on the feed got it. Dirty dog. Yeah, man. Yeah. I think puppets are a great buy. I think puppets are your face of Bitcoin ordinals. You could argue OMB. I just don't. OMB for me is just not that loud.
Yeah.
I don't get me wrong, man. I love OMB and I love that video they put out. Who were they? Who did they call out? Nifty, what are they? The boys Nick and all them.
Yeah. The
OMB boys, put out a video of them beating the shit out of Bo Doggos.
Yeah.
Bro, that video was quality, man. But I think puppets just put out better content. I think the community are just louder and probably, I don't know, man, it makes me laugh. The puppets make me laugh. And if they're still making me laugh, then I think price goes up. And I think with Bitcoin going up now, it's going to, it's going to raise, ordinals go up, runes go up. I just don't see how they don't. And they, I mean, puppets, what did puppets hit? 0.45?
I think that was the lowest they hit. Yeah, in this recent dip, about that, about 0.15-ish, yeah.
Sorry, their high, Greenie, was 0.45.
Oh, their high.
0.5.
Yeah. There were a few sales at about 0.6, but about 0.47-ish, yeah.
Yeah, in fact, your mogs, I saw a couple of mogs go 0.7 something around there. So your mog purchase, dude, I think is a ripper. that, if things get frothy, that could go silly, man.
Oh,
Hey,
a little.
you got an honorary there, do you?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
an honorary penguin. Actually, I don't even know. P.
oh, that's cool. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, someone
Oh,
want to give me
oh,
some
yeah,
spare
cool.
BTC. Yeah, so there's a few in
That
there.
cool.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
no,
that
dude, I put this out. Like, I did buy a bit of a premium. Like, I'll be like, just like, I bought it above like floor, and
man.
it was like, I think that's an
It's gonna.
easy.
That floor will probably be hit in a week, man.
Yeah.
Everyone will be buying at that in a week.
Like, if you look, yeah, it's still at floor value, really. So I think like these, look at that, like 5 buys of these, and you're already pushing back into mid
I might have to go
thirties.
buy a floor mog, man.
That
Yeah,
screams value.
that's too
Point
cheap.
Shima.
That's
Yeah.
that's too cheap.
Yeah, well, I will now have a second one in my in my holdings, which is so good. But yeah, so anyways, that's good to see. There you go. There's my second one, guys, as you've seen. But no, I think runes and puppets are a great value point right now, Craig. And I think that's where you definitely want to be in the market at the moment. Outside that, Craig, is there anything else you wanted to talk about in this live stream?
Not really. I think we kind of covered all the really juicy stuff. Altcoins, I think, is going to make everyone a lot of money. What are your thoughts, Greenie? Give me your thoughts on altcoin gains versus runes.
Oh, that's a really good. See,
Versus, I could make it easier than that. Runes versus so your Bitcoin shitcoins versus your Sol and your Ethereum. What do you think is going to give the biggest percentage gains?
I think runes are going to be a steady, slow grind all the way to the end of this year, and give some like Satoshi decentralized, those ones that are only sitting at 21 and 30 million. I think those easily push up to hundreds of millions. Dog and those sort of ones probably push towards billions. So there's probably more upside in those. If you are placing your bets on ones where you're not actively trading like really low tokens, I think MOG is definitely a sleeper for me. Hence why I'm very bullish on it, and tweeting a lot about it right now, because it is insanely undervalued when you consider its competitors, really. I think WIF and Bonk push towards that 10 billion sort of range. I definitely think WIF probably pushes towards maybe Doge, where Doge currently is 15 to 20 bill. And I think Pepe definitely challenges the all-time spot of memes. I think it could seriously, I don't know, I haven't looked at it for a while, the comparison between it and let's have a look really quickly. So if we look at, yes, oh no, a 6x whilst Doge moves up. I probably don't see it overtaking Dogecoin. I see it flipping Shiba easy. I think Pepe could either, and I even think WIF could flip Shiba too. But runes, I think runes have a lot of upside when you consider all of these guys, like, and you consider like even Trump on ETH, guys, is at 360 mil. There you go, Mog. Oh my god, Mog's at 330. Oh my god,
Is it?
Dude, what? Has it pumped more than when we're just looking at it? Holy hell, it is. Look at it. Let's go. Bags are pumping. Look at that green candle. Oh, yeah, I moved my stuff over on the side. Oh, look at that green candle. This is a daily. Oh, no, this is the weekly. So, I don't know. Let's look at the daily. Look at that daily candle. Let's go.
Oh, your
Let's go.
screen's not sharing, ready?
Oh, no. Is it not?
No.
Oh, no, it's not sharing. There we go. Look at this daily
go.
candle. Look at this daily candle, guys, on MOG. Okay, we're seeing a mad 66% pump on MOG right now, over to 300 million. This breaks this and sets some new all-time highs very soon.
MOG, I think, could get pretty crazy soon, man.
I think so too. It's got a lot of upside.
I think that's one of those ones that's just going to, I think it's going to capture the timeline for a bit.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of good people holding it. And when I say good people, I mean people that are loud on the timeline,
yes,
well respected, followed, and can meme.
And create content too. That's the thing you got to remember.
Content creators, MOG's probably as good as I've seen.
Yeah. So for me, guys, I see Pepe flipping Shiba. I see WIF flipping Shiba. I don't see them flipping Doge. Doge to a dollar, probably not. Maybe. I don't see it. Bonk definitely pushes towards 10 billion. Book a meme. I don't know. Fade that. MEMECOIN's a really interesting one if they can actually do something. Like, again, who knows what's happening with NFTs? As you can see, circulating supply is still very low on something like this, only 26%. So probably fade MEMECOIN in the short term. First cat to $1 billion. Who knows? The race is between PopCat and MOG. I think MOG's going to beat it. News down there. Yeah, yes, I think it's definitely going to do it. So yeah, Craig, that's my opinion. What's your thoughts? What, like, in terms of runes, in terms of those sort of plays, which one do you think is the play
out of the chains?
Yeah, out of runes, and which one outperforms percentage gain?
Runes for me. I love an underdog story. And I love the fact there's no historical data. Yeah, runes for me. But in saying that, the top ones you picked, Pepe, Mog, with probably, I sort of wonder with Pepe how much, percentage gains it's got left. And I don't get me wrong, I still think it could go a lot more, but what, like 3x, 4x?
Yeah.
Whereas runes, I think, could be a 10x to 100x.
Yeah.
On some of them. With, I think, your top 2 or 3 soul memes, I think, are going to be great. With, I think, after seeing that chart, or Myro, actually.
Yeah, Myro's good show.
I actually just bought some before.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I think now the times to, I kind of feel now with getting into shitcoin and meme coins, it's just time to pick the established ones and swing a bit heavier. Rather than me doing my daily plays, trying to, flip 1 soul into 5.
Yeah.
Might be time to put 5 soul into it and just sit on my hands. I think it's probably the best play. But now to answer your question, I think runes probably have the higher ceilings on them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think any of those ones we mentioned now, you're probably going to be pretty happy by the end of the year / mid next year. So yeah, I think there's plenty of money to be made, and I kind of feel it probably doesn't matter which chain you kind of lean towards.
Yeah.
I think we're all going to do pretty well. Those who have got skin in the game now are going to do well. If you don't have skin in the game, probably. I've been screaming this in my group, and I don't know if you feel the same. Sometimes it's funny. I'll put up an altcoin post, and it just gets no love, eh? Like if you show altcoins, you get fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Even in the groups when I put up a call and I'm like, right, guys, Beam looks like a good buy. You'll get 2 likes, but if you put up a shit coin, you'll get like 50.
Yeah.
It's just the way the market is. But I still think, as boring as altcoins are, I think that there's going to be some pretty easy gains to be made there where you can put in a larger amount of money. The downside risk isn't so great with a meme coin, and the upside still pretty nice. I mean, to get a 4x at this time of the market, still nice, man.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I can't wait to see what happens. I also kind of picked runes, I suppose, because I love an underdog story.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine the coping and the seething on the timeline if someone gets 100x on them.
Yeah.
Put it this way, man. If I start getting good X's on there, I'm going to be so fucking loud.
100%, man. 100%.
And that's what's going to, people like me, I'm not trying to talk myself up, but those who are in ruins, if and when those start to pump, we're going to be so disgustingly loud. Yeah. That I think that's what's going to create. I think it's going to catch people off guard.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think Sol or ETH will catch people off guard as much. I think we kind of already know what those are capable of. But seeing some of those runes go to $1 billion, wowee, man. I mean, imagine Dog going to. But what's Dog at now?
Let's have a look. I just bought some decentralized actually. Because it's at 38 mil, so it's a lot of upside there. Dog's at 320 mil. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Imagine if that hits $1 billion.
Yeah, easy. That's a 3x. Like that's pretty standard. Yeah.
So, and I think that's when when people like me will go like, yeah, we're killing it, and that's when other people might come in, because there is still, there's still that friction with purchasing it as well. And we've only just got the Telegram bots which can buy them now, so there's just so much potential there. So if you're not in ruins, you're going to probably hate me in about 8 weeks. I hope you do hate me, because it means that I've fucking got it right, and if I get it wrong, we'll just delete the stream. And I'll just say I was bullish on Myro this whole time. I did cop some Myro there. I think Mog, Myro with Pepe and runes, I think you're sitting pretty, man. So I look forward to showing everyone my Lambo in about 6 months. Do you know, I kind of think about it, and I can't wait to make a disgustingly stupid purchase sometime in the near future.
I love it.
I want to have a midlife crisis now. I'm ready. This is grey. I don't know how much longer I have in this till I have a heart attack. So I need to have a midlife crisis purchase soon. So let's go. Let's get a Lambo. Let's lose some money on cars.
Sounds so good. Yeah, no, and I think that's a really good point to finish this stream off, guys. So obviously, shout out to Craig for tuning in. Please follow him. He's obviously a prominent. He's been around this space for a long period of time. This is his second cycle, so I've just put it up on the stream. This is his page, guys. So give him a follow. Obviously, if you're following me, give me a follow here as well. Greeny_ETH. Actually, going to change my username soon after I get it verified again after changing my MOG PFP. So definitely check that out. But obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, guys, please smash the subscribe button as well. I have put Craig's subscription, his YouTube as well in the description below. So check that one out as well, because we do try to do these streams as often as possible. So hopefully we can do another one in a couple of weeks' time, per se, what happens in my travel world. But no, thanks for being here today, Craig.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Greeny. Thanks for everyone who tuned in and gave us the time. Hopefully someone out there, got something out of it. That's the ultimate, isn't it? Hopefully, even if we plant seeds now, next run, people can make money. I mean, ultimately, I think you and me are both in the space, to free ourselves from, sort of the clutches of fiat. And my goal, apart from freeing myself and my family, is hopefully to bring some others with me. I'd very much like to help change the world for better. And I know you're the same way. So hopefully hopefully we can put our content that not only hypes people, but just helps, steady the ship for those times where it's emotional, on the big dip. So thanks again for listening to us, guys, and girls out there. Mickey Lee's always there. And hopefully I can make sexy rich from runes, and hopefully you can make me sexy. Call it in the channel, man.
Shout out to everyone thanks, Craig, and shout out to everyone for being here. Obviously, please subscribe if you're on YouTube, and obviously if you're watching on Twitter, guys, check out my YouTube. So many educational videos on there. I drop at least one or two a week, so check that out. And thanks for 360 people for tuning in. So really do appreciate it. Lots of alpha shared, guys. So definitely watch the replay or either on X or on YouTube to tune in and double check what we discussed. But yeah, thanks, Craig, and hopefully we'll catch up again soon.
We will. Thanks.